Okay, so backgrounds, I'm making it look really easy today because you guys have all your shapes on top of this, and I'm drawing it without shapes. So when you're using your rulers, you're just going to have to make sure you kind of go over your shapes, okay? Right now, if you guys are working, if you can put your pencils down and just pay attention, this isn't going to take too long. And I am going to, since I'm just drawing on my tablet, I'm not going to use a ruler, so my lines aren't going to be perfect straight, but I do expect you to use a ruler. But the most simple way to divide your background, so your background is going to be divided from your vanishing point. So you should still have that vanishing point on there. Your horizon line might also still be on your paper, and at this point, if you want to get rid of the horizon line and not use it in your background, that's fine, but some people like to use their horizon line for their background, okay? So it's really up to you. So I'm going to start at the top left here. And the easiest way, and I'm going to just show you going from the middle. So all my vanishing points are going to be from the middle, would be to just go to your four corners. Just like that. Okay, like I said, I'm not using a ruler. You guys will use a ruler, so my lines might be a little crooked, so sorry. And then if you want to get a little more complicated than just going to your four corners, you can keep dividing it. So that's what the ones that are hanging on the wall, I call that a starburst. So you just kind of go down the middle here and just keep dividing it. And then you could divide it even more if you wanted to. So those are the two easiest. Well, I don't know why it does that. Sorry. Undo. There we go. I might do it again. There we go. So that's kind of what I call a starburst, and that's just dividing from your vanishing point, okay? The next one that I feel like is probably a little bit hard, but you wouldn't have to use a ruler for it, is to make what I call kind of like a pinwheel. So again, starting from the middle point, and then just curving your lines. So it reminds me of like a spiral or a pinwheel. But it is tricky because remember, you're going to be going through like around all your shapes. So that's what makes it a little hard. But you could definitely do that. Okay. And the ones I'm showing you today, you might come up with your own. So if you have a background that you kind of come up with on your own, different idea, thinking outside the box, by all means, go for it. But just, I do want you, after you guys draw your background and divide it with a pencil and a ruler, to show it to me before you start coloring, just in case there's a mistake. I want to help you, okay? All right, another one, again, starting from the middle, going to my four corners. Pretty simple here. What I'm going to do now is do what, like, kind of like a brick wall. So I'm going to have my sides almost like a tunnel here. And right now it's going to kind of look like a railroad track. Oh, I don't know why it does that. If it lets me here, maybe I'll put it way out here. No. Okay, maybe I just won't put one there. Go to the other side and see if it lets me do it. There we go. After you get your railroad track on there, then you're going to divide it like a brick wall. Okay, so I'm going to put a line here in the middle, line here, line here. Maybe it'll let me do it like this. Nope, still did it. I have no idea why it's doing that. It still did. I was hoping it wouldn't do it. Okay, but I would have a line there. And then on the other side, same thing. Maybe I want to make this one have two lines, then my line there, line here. Still wants to do that. Okay, so you kind of get the idea of the brick wall, right? Then my top and my bottom could be like starbursts. So just going up and dividing those. So it could be totally different. There we go. Okay? Or you could have brick walls all the way around if you want to make kind of like a tunnel. A tunnel is tricky though. I'm going to show you that one next. So this one again from my four corners. Okay? The reason why the tunnel is tricky is because it's kind of really hard to match up the corners of the squares. So I'm going to go ahead, and it might mess up on me here, but I'm going to kind of do this one off so you can see what I mean. So see how I didn't, has that been up there the whole time? No, did it just come up? Oh, there, it just went away. That was really weird. But see how those two corners did not match up? Okay, so that's why this is a little tricky. So I'm going to go back here. If you're using a ruler, it's definitely helpful, but sometimes it's really hard to get those corners to line up. But when they do, it looks really cool. It makes this tunnel effect. Oh. I'm not trying to do math, but I think it's wanting me to do math here. Maybe if I keep going. But it gives you that like tunnel, like you're kind of driving through a tunnel basically. So it's kind of a cool one too. All right, another really popular one is what I call a spider web. So again, kind of the starburst here, going to my four corners, and then I'm going to divide it one more time here. It lets me. I put them slightly off. Maybe it won't do that. I didn't put that one slightly off. There we go. I know that's really bad. It says it should all be going to my vanishing point. But my spider web, you would just dip in between the starbursts here. Yeah, funky spider web here. For the background, your background has to have a color theme, okay, which we talked about when we were talking about the color wheel. So it could be warm colors, could be cool colors, could be primary colors, could be secondary colors. But I also let you use black. So for the background, if you were wanting to do the spider web and then you want to trace over all those lines with black, you can. So the background, you can use black, but you still have to have all the other colors that are your color theme. This one is similar to the spider web. I call this one a ripple, kind of a ripple effect here. I'm trying to make them slightly off so it doesn't do that dividing thing it keeps wanting to do. But instead of dipping in every time, I'm going to dip in, then I'm going to dip out. In, out, in, out, in, out. So keep doing that, repeating in, out, in, out. And the further away I get from my vanishing point, oops, erase that a little bit. The further my spaces should be apart because it's getting further away. Okay, so doesn't that look like a ripple, like if you were to throw a rock in the water and it would kind of ripple out? That's what it reminds me of. Another kind of simple one, again, go to your four corners. And it's kind of what I was doing with the brick wall, but just having railroad tracks kind of running. Shoot. Maybe I could do it if I don't attach it. Nope. Sorry. Thinking if I don't attach it, then it kind of works a little bit better. Nope, still wanted me to do that. Okay, so it kind of just looks like railroad tracks or like going down a wall. And that might, oh, I have one more. One more. This one a student came up with on her own and asked me if it was okay. And I said, sure. So it's just squiggly lines that are squiggly closer together. When you get further apart, they get bigger squiggles. So little squiggles, big squiggles, little squiggles, big. And you could keep dividing if you wanted to. And let me see if there's any more. I guess with the box one, you could divide it even more. So you have your four corners, box, box, and then divide that even more with lines going through it like that. Ah, doesn't like me dividing. Something like that. So like I said, if you do come up with your own background, that's fine. Just make sure I check it. Also, after you've drawn it with pencil, have me check it before you start coloring. Something a lot of students like to do once they do draw the background and figure it out, they pick out their colors. So let's say you were using cool colors for your background. So you're going to use blue, purple, and green. You might want to sit there and just figure out with your starburst and actually write on there with pencil, blue, purple, green. I know I'm kind of sideways here. Blue, purple, because I like to have a pattern. You don't have to have a pattern, but a lot of students like to do that. So you want to make sure that your pattern is going to repeat itself. I'll show you why here. So I was doing blue, purple, green, blue, purple, green, blue, purple. Get rid of that. If I had this all gone. So you can see I would end up with two blues next to each other. So the easiest way to fix that is to just go ahead and divide it so that that pattern will repeat itself. So that's something some students will have me kind of check before they start coloring it in. Okay? So make sure you're using a ruler. Make sure you're going around your shapes, not through your shapes when you're drawing your lines. If you're going to do the pinwheel or the spiral one like this one, you do not have to use a ruler, but you still need to make sure you're going around your shapes. So whenever you're ready to start that, go ahead.